Hello and welcome to the Python Concepts Lecture 2. Here we will learn how to use Jupyter Notebook to write Python codes, and we will learn how to define variables too. So it's the very fundamental and basic lecture when you are just beginning to learn Python and running your preliminary codes. So this is the environment that you will see when you run Jupyter Notebook for the first time. And you can see that it's kind of a word processor, and you can just click the plus button to make more code blocks where you can write blocks of codes. And there are other common buttons like save, so that you can save your codes. And when you see the screen for the first time, you just click new Python 3 so that you can get to this point. And you can run your blocks of code by clicking just run or pressing Control Enter. And so let's say if you are in your first block of code and you were trying to run the very common and conventional hello world code for the first time. So the first thing is to keep your code clean, so you can make a lot of comments so that it's understandable by other readers. For example, here, if you use the hash hash before your line of code, then it becomes a comment, so it won't affect any of the running of your codes. But if you remove this, it becomes a code. So make sure you use the hash before any of the comments you make. For example, this Python concepts lecture 2 using Jupyter Notebook and variables, that is kind of that is the first comment that I'm using here, so that you know what I'm going to write. So to get an output hello world, you can just use the print command and press Control Enter so that it shows as an output hello world. You can also edit this. Hello Python world, it will change it accordingly. And let's say your name is X, then it will become hello X world. So this is kind of the very basic way to run a code in Jupyter Notebook. You can use other text editor like Sublime Text or Notepad++ to write your code, so that you can get the good indentations and the highlighting and different colorings, so that you can understand easily where your code is going or whether there's a problem or not. And also, there's another way to define variables instead of just using the print command to get an output in of your program. You can define it. For example, this string hello world, you can define it and give it a name like message, and after that you can just say print message, and you will get the same output. Just to make it more obvious, I can remove the world and it will just print hello. So this is how you have just defined your first variable, and you can check the type of your variable. You can see that it's showing str, which means it's a string, and there are also various other types of variables like integers or floating points. For example, you can define pi as 3.14, and you can just print pi. So you can see that it's printing both message and also printing pi. And you can also check the type of pi. It's a floating point number. If it were an integer, for example, it was only 3, then you can, if you check for the type, it will show an integer. So this is how we can define various types of variables. And one disclaimer is that try not to use the predefined keywords in Python. For example, don't use any conditionals as the name. If or for, see, when I'm writing it right away, it's becoming bold, so so that you can know that these are the keywords, and you should not use them as names of your variables. So this is one disclaimer and a very important thing that I had to mention about variables. So in the next lecture, we will try to dig deeper into other data structure and variable types.